guys, welcome to another episode of Disciple Thoughts. I am your host, Mphonsi. Last week, I remember praying to God, asking Him to remove anything and everything that is keeping me away from Him. And one of the reasons why I was praying that was because I've just been lacking. I've been inconsistent in my prayer life. Like, I've just been so not disciplined in my prayer life. So, and I feel like sometimes it's the people in your life, it's the things in your life that kind of are keeping you from, giving your time to God. And so at that time, I just felt the need to be like, Mudimo, it's fine. Anything, anyone. If there is anything that is keeping me from you, remove, right? Sharp. And then early this week, I was listening to a podcast and Jackie Hill Perry, shout out. Guys, if there is, you see Jackie Hill Perry, Megan Ashley, and Preston Perry. When God said that go out into all nations and make disciples, they took that assignment seriously, because they are really the core reason of why I identify myself as a disciple. They are a core. When I say core, guys, wow, shut out. Anyways, okay, I was listening to their podcast. To Jackie, and I don't really know what she was talking about, but she said that yes, it's okay to pray for deliverance and stuff like that, but sometimes we must, if God does not answer the prayer of deliverance, does not deliver us from something, we must be content with the fact that maybe it is us who needs deliverance from us. So we are praying for God to remove a mountain. Maybe that mountain is me. Do you get what I'm saying? And so immediately when she said that, I thought about this verse that says that keep yourselves from idols. And the 1 John 5:21 says that keep away from anything that might take God's, sorry guys, it's there in my wall. It says that keep away from anything that might take God's place in your heart, right? And in the other version, that one is NLT. In the other version, it's talking about keep yourselves away from idols. Anything that can be an idol, keep yourselves away from that. And I just thought about maybe sometimes I am my own idol. Because really at its core, that is the definition of an idol. Anything that takes God's place in your heart. Anything that takes God's place in your life. Anything that prioritizes itself above God is an idol. Anything that places itself above God is an idol. And sometimes we are that. Sometimes we are the one who, Paul says that in the later times, people will become lovers of themselves. Other versions says that they will become self-absorbed. Woo! They will become self-centered. The Amplified Version talks about being narcissistic, that we are and can't we say that you are an idol? I feel like I just dived into it. I did not even build it. I just and now it's like, now everything's all over the place. But in the Old Testament, or rather yeah, in the Old Testament, God says that do not worship any other gods but me. That is one of the, also I think, the greatest commandment. Is it not the first in the Old? Okay, fine. That's, yeah. Do not worship any other gods but me. And then go in the Psalms. I don't know if it's David, but that person or that writer says that we are the gods of this earth. We are gods, reign. But one of God's commandments is to not worship any other gods but him. Okay? I was looking at the definition of worship. It talks about an act of devotion to a deity, to a power, to something. So you are devoting yourself to, yeah, a power, really. Then I looked at the definition for devotion. It talks about a deep love or loyalty to something or someone. And it's like, yeah, sometimes indeed we are devoted to ourselves. But God is saying that do not worship, because worship is a devotion. God is saying that do not devote yourself to another God. Sometimes you are that God. Do not devote yourself to yourself. You know, in the beginning, God says that let us create man in our own image. And the definition of an idol talks about it is an image or a representation of something. That's an idol. Now God says that let us create them in our own image. So we are ought to be in God's image. Is that clear? We are called to be the image of God, to reflect the image of God. We are called to be a mirror of who God is. I think that the call to die to ourselves is I don't want to say the only way, is one of the ways to reflect that image. Because when we die to ourselves, we are allowing his character, we are allowing the God in us to be reflected. Does that make sense? Because how can we be the God in us if us is in the way? Like, I feel like we are in the way. I always say this, that the flesh is the only thing that is in the way of our relationship with God. If we could just kill this thing, if we could just deny this thing, because it's in the death of the flesh that the life of the spirit is. Does that make sense? You know, I don't know, I think it's Paul. Paul says that we need to die with him so that his life can be reflected, he can be manifested in us. We die with him so we can be alive with him. Does that make sense? And so we cannot be an image that God has called us to be, we are created in that image, but we cannot reflect it if we are in the way. I don't know how to, articulate that, but I believe you guys can hear me. Guys, we need to say no to ourselves. We need to die to ourselves. We need to deny the flesh. We need to deny us, me. Say no to yourself. Because you are called to reflect, you are called to be an image. Okay, so the same thing. You are called to be an image of God, not an image of yourself. So when we devote time to ourselves only, when we do things that please us, When we fulfill the desires of our flesh, we are reflecting our image, and we are not called to reflect our own image. We are called to reflect his image, to be his image. I feel like reflect his image is wrong, because reflection and image is not the same thing. But anyways, we are being called to be an image of God, not an image of ourselves. And when we are not being an image of God, we are making an idol of ourselves, because we are creating another image, and that is idolatry. He says that do not make an idol of anything. But that is what we are doing, because we are not allowing, we are not denying ourselves, so that his image can be reflected. That's a word. I'm not called to build. And that is why many times when we pray, I think this is exactly what Jackie was saying, that when we pray, when we are praying for whatever that we want, or the things that we want, or let me start by saying that God will never, he will never help you build an idol. And so there are many things that we pray for that are so self-centered, that are looking at us only. And God will never answer that prayer, because it's focusing on you. It's going to build you as an idol. It's not going to build you as an image of God. It's not going to reflect the God in you. It's only going to reflect you. That's powerful.